in comics is not something that's shocking to
No,
French
yes,
society, and
yes.
therefore there was no need for it to remain underground because it could be accepted.
done
I mean, you couldn't
overground.
sell it to kids, but you could sell it to adults, and since it was adults who were driving the market at that time,
It's a
there was no
different
reason
situation.
for it
Yeah.
to stay.
There are not a war like here between a part of the population who is afraid of sex and afraid of showing anything and talking about certain things. And okay, we have that, but it's not so strong. Okay, so very fast it was. We saw that it was possible to have to go into a new
way of doing
doing things.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you
Yeah.
say that it was accepted by a more general audience. To
Yeah.
what level was that going on? I mean, how large was it within the public mind of France? Were these things consciously known by a large portion of the population of what you had done, or was it just a population that happened to have been reading comics? Or, I mean, obviously you're saying it expanded beyond just that small audience that we're familiar with in the United States.
There are a small, relatively small audience for comics, but a big and large potential audience for what we were doing. And that potential audience is not in fight with us, They accept comics eventually, They can have comics in their house, in their comment on dit les étagères?
On their bookshelves.
On their bookshelves?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the part of the population who are against, they don't feel it's dangerous. In the generation before, it was the majority, but suddenly, I think they had a kind of transformation in the French society. Many people.
That was happening at that time?
Yes, I think many people changed their mind in that time. I cannot imagine another answer.
1968, I mean, for some of you weren't even born then, 1968 actually nearly destroyed French society. I mean, everybody, the students were out in the streets throwing bricks, fighting with the police.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the government actually fell because of what was going down in the whole attitude.
It was like China in
Tiananmen Square?
Yeah. The only thing, the France,
students won.
they are not crazy old men, They understood what's happening. They understood. And General de Gaulle, who was a kind of genius, he left.
His time was over.
Yeah,
he
recognized that it was changing and it was not anymore the 19th century. And the relation between parents and children changed a lot. So after that recognition of the parental, kind of ghost.
the authoritarian
around, yes,
parental ghost, yeah.
It was okay. So we started to do our stories, and I started in my direction, my own. I took my own autonomy.
Yes.
Autonomy, and now I realize that I'm very involved into dreams and many things.
Is there a strong, it seems to me there's a strong sense of mythology.
Self-exploration, but not in order to be trapped into me, but in order to find through me the
larger community.
Yeah, an universal point of view. And I don't know if I'm wrong, but maybe it's what I'm trying to do.
That sounds very similar to me to what I hear, and it's becoming a stronger refrain now with those people who are using this word mythology or myth to try and describe what art is doing, that it really isn't just personal expression, it's personal expression that becomes a type of communal, universal
it's
expression.
the personal way in order to go in something common, in not only in Earth, but maybe in all the universe. Why open the doors and don't be afraid of saying that. It's
Was this sense of the universal, was that something that you were seeking as you were producing these, or was it kind of like a revelation? As
No.
you started producing something very personal, you realized that
no,
it had...
it's in everybody who likes science fiction, they see that. It's obvious that science
Yes.
fiction is a genre who try to catch the stars, you know, to be in the immensity of universe. The science fiction writers, they had a kind of vertigo, you know, when they started
Yes.
they realized that they were able to put people in a vessel and cross the universe and to arrive when there are nothing else, or they were able to put men in the stars, or to imagine other races, or, you know, it's incredible. I think that literature is very in its true importance, with its true importance. You know, it's if you show any book, maybe okay, many books are could be read by somebody in the 17th century. You know, books with relationship between people. Okay, the relationship now is very different.
Yeah.
But the only book that could blow their mind is science fiction book, you know, because this is a real something really new, and we did in that century, you know. It's an invention.
It's the new part of what 20th century art
Oh
is.
yes, I'm sure.
It's
A new mythology.
If you look at the ancient mythology, even when you had universal take care
Yeah,
of
it was small.
Jupiter,
Yeah.
the gods,
Yeah.
they were all centered in Earth.
Yeah, in a mountain,
and all
or
that
yeah.
they did was relating to man,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than actually going beyond. They had these huge characters, but they didn't take them beyond the Earth.
Yeah, you could look at the way some of the gods behaved and wonder why if man was so insignificant, were the gods so concerned with man. Yes.
They were
In another way, yes.
like problems.
In another way, when you try to have a spiritual research, you cannot use the science fiction point of view, because that point of view is always too small. You must go back into the mythology, because in the mythology, or it could be the Christian mythology or any antique mythology. In those point of view, you can have that concept of creation and universe, you know, and with that, with the mystical point of view, because in science fiction, that point of
There's a
view.
stopping point.
Yeah.
Well, what is
I
it?
was
The
going-
reason and
Huh?
the science that somehow that reason and science prevents you from going far enough into the mystical part of it?
I have like many authors, not many, but like few authors, I have the temptation or the dream to put together all the mythology, I mean, the mystical point of view, the traditional esoteric and spiritual research
Yes.
for the contact, the inner contact with what we could call God, or I don't know what, and
Something larger than ourselves.
and
something-
that feeling of being into a physical universe so large and so and with connection with other perception and other dimensions, because science fiction, it's not only stars and vessels crossing between stars, you know, it's other dimensions, parallel Earth and parallel times, and travel through times. What is times?
Maybe you should talk about how working with Alexander Jodorowsky kind of changed the way that you looked at your work. And
Yeah. For example, when I met Alexander Jodorowsky, I saw somebody who is familiar with science fiction and who is also very familiar with the spiritual research. And when we did that story called the Inca, in fact, we did what I'm talking about, you know,
Yes.
that encounter between science fiction and larger